Hello, manga and anime lovers. I'm Branch, and today I'm going to be talking about Days with My Stepsister, Episode 6. Now, this episode was mostly focused on Yuuta. In the previous episodes, we've been focusing on Saki and Shiori-senpai, but in this particular episode, we finally turn to our main boy himself, and he begins to understand his feelings, even if he doesn't want to accept them, and he's purposefully looking the other way. I think this episode, more than most, has a very easy to see through line from beginning to end. It tells an almost self-contained story, even though it does continue Saki's test storyline, and we do update the viewer on various plot threads that are going on. It really is all about Yuuta. So, to start from the beginning, we get reminded right away of how Yuta's life is changing when his friend comments that he's getting noticeably closer to the popular girl, whose name I can't remember, unfortunately. And we can really see that in I think the last episode or the episode before that, when they were talking in the school, and he got the idea for Saki to listen to music while she was studying from her. And we see it in this episode too, how she's going around calling him Big Brother, kind of ironically, because he's Saki's brother, and she's Saki's best friend. And then they all go to his house to help Saki study, and he tries to cook, and she has to help him because he doesn't know what the heck he's doing. But I do appreciate how she's pushing him to look at his feelings a little bit more and not dismiss everything so much, because unfortunately dismissing things seems to be what Yuta's the best at, probably from habit. And now our little redhead is forcing him to look outside of his feelings and consider other possibilities. Like, she straight up brings up the romance angle right here, and he just says, no. And to be honest, I would be Yuuta in this situation. I'm not gonna lie. I tend to vastly overcorrect when trying not to assume what other people are feeling. But this interaction does plant a seed in Yuta's mind, and we can see it growing throughout the episode. How he becomes really nervous and protective of his sister. He really wants her to pass the test so bad. So at this point, he's already super invested in how good she's doing, despite a couple episodes ago saying that they were complete strangers. Like, he even offers to make dinner, even though that's not part of the arrangement and there's no transaction going on here. And this goes for Saki too. Saki pays him back and does him favors in a way that's almost completely out of character for her, except that she's changed so much from the start of this season. And now we can see Yuuta beginning to change as well. Because when Saki fails to come home from the test on time, you can see this man getting so nervous, especially because of the storm and I want to say it's a typhoon coming around. If not, just a very bad storm. And you can see him getting more and more nervous. And one of my favorite scenes in this episode was the scene of him folding the clothes alone, because they got wet outside because it was raining. But this calls back to the scene a couple episodes ago where him and Saki were folding clothes together, and I really like that scene, and I said as much in my review. And yet the folding clothes scene in this episode is such a stark contrast because Yuuta is all alone with his thoughts, and he doesn't have anyone to talk to, and Saki is not there, and yet he's only thinking of her. And you can see this tension slowly build until he can't take it anymore, and he runs with an umbrella to see if he can find her. And of course he bumps into her, and they talk things out, as they usually do. These people are actually surprisingly good at communicating. And it's interesting to see how they're being completely honest with each other, and yet they're ignoring their own feelings in the conversation. They're not bringing them up, probably because they don't see them as important. Although Saki, I suspect, is a little more aware of her emotions than Yuuta is at this moment. Especially because she brings up his senpai at work and almost straightforward is jealous of her. But I don't think she understands this herself quite yet. But she does get a confirmation on how Yuuta sees her. And of course Yuuta says, oh, she's just a close person at work and she's taught me a lot. Which is what I suspected was the case. Even though they're actually a lot closer than that relationship would entail. And I think Saki sees that too, because at the end of the episode, we see her walking in for an interview to work at this bookstore, which I predicted from the last episode. I mean, it was just so obvious. It had to happen. I am curious to see what Shiori's reaction is going to be to all this, though. I suspect resignment and sadness, but on the surface, very happy and excited. And winding back a little bit, the main climax of the episode, I would say, is when Saki finally acknowledges herself as being Yuta's younger sister. when she goes to repay him and he refuses, and she gets by his defenses by insisting that it's just a whim of a younger sister and to let it go for that. And she is completely embracing her role right now. They are no longer strangers, and I think Yuuta can understand that now too, because he sighs and the wall is broken at this point. It just needs to be completely removed. A couple extra thoughts I have on this episode. The characters looked a little more wonky than usual in some scenes. Not that I'm paying much attention to it because the animation itself is so good, but that is something of note. Also, I am sorry, I don't really like Saki's friend. Not her personality at all or her character design, just the voice actor really, really grates on my ears. I don't know what it is because I have heard way stranger voices than this, but whatever voice this actor is putting on, it is really annoying me. It sounds very fake, and it also really clashes with all the other characters in this show. Especially Yuta's friend at school, whose voice is so deep, and then you have Saki's friend, whose voice is just so artificially high. It puts me off a little bit. But I do appreciate what she's doing in the story, and I appreciate her character as it is. She just annoys me a bit. Well, that's about all my thoughts for this episode. I'm going to go watch the next one right now because it's already out, and then I'll record my review. Hope to see you next time. Bye.